You know, I never thought my career as a home inspector and builder would come back to bite me in the neighborhood I built myself. But when a certain HOA president, let's call her Karen, decided my porch was an eyesore and slapped me with a fine, she had no idea who she was dealing with. Because not only did I design most of the homes in our subdivision, I also signed hers. And when I told her that, the look on her face, let's just say, she froze colder than a January morning. It started with a note taped to my door. Violation notice number 1478, unapproved structural addition. Remove or alter your front porch steps within 14 days or face a fine of $250. I actually laughed out loud. My porch? The one I built before the HOA was even founded. The same one that passed inspection under city and county guidelines. I figured it was a mistake. So I called Karen. "Good morning, Karen," I said. "I think there's been some confusion about that notice." She cut me off. "There's no confusion, Mark. Your porch violates Section 4.2, Materials and Aesthetics. Those wooden steps aren't HOA approved." I blinked. "Karen, the HOA didn't exist when I built this. It's literally in the original design plans. Rules apply equally to everyone," she snapped. "Even if you're the builder." I could feel my patience thinning. "Karen, I was the builder. I designed the front elevation for this model. You live in one." "That's irrelevant," she said. "You'll get a fine each week until it's fixed." I couldn't believe what she said next. "We'll have no exceptions, even for people who think they're special because they built the place." That's when I knew I had to fight back. Instead of arguing, I decided to play it smart. I pulled the original blueprints from my home office, complete with my signature, city stamps, and permits. I also found something interesting. Karen's own home was built from the same model design. Meaning, her porch was the exact same type as mine. I smiled. Time for a little fun. I made copies of the plans and drove to the HOA office during open hours. Karen was there with 2 board members, pretending to look busy. "Afternoon, Karen," I said, setting the papers down. "I wanted to show you something." She barely looked up. "If it's about your violation, Mark, you can submit an appeal in writing." "Oh, this isn't an appeal," I said. "It's documentation. Here are the official blueprints of every model home in this development, signed by the inspector who approved them." She frowned. And I am that inspector." The room went. I flipped to the elevation page for her address. "Here's yours. Same porch. Same dimensions. Same wood. If my porch violates HOA rules, so does yours." Her mouth opened, then shut again. One of the other board members started coughing to hide a laugh. This isn't relevant," she stammered. "We're talking about your property." "Oh, it's absolutely relevant," I said, keeping my tone calm. "Because if you fine me, you fine yourself. And every other home built from this model." I handed her the folder. "You can check the records at City Hall. I kept everything by the book." She didn't say another word. I thought that would be the end of it, but Karen wasn't done. 2 weeks later, another letter arrived, this time claiming that my porch railings violated color uniformity standards. Rachel sighed when I opened it. "She's obsessed," she said. "She's desperate," I replied. I decided to take things up a notch. I attended the next HOA meeting with about 20 neighbors, many of whom had their own gripes about Karen's leadership. When the floor opened for resident concerns, I stood up. "Karen," I began, "since we're talking about enforcement consistency, I think everyone should see something." I projected photos of multiple houses, including hers, onto the meeting screen. Each had the same porch design and paint scheme. According to the latest HOA fines, I said, these are all violations. Should we start issuing tickets to every homeowner here? The room murmured. Someone muttered, "She fined him for that." Karen's face went pale. One of the board members cleared his throat. "Mark, could you clarify your credentials again?" "Sure," I said. "I'm a licensed builder and property inspector. I signed the permits for 24 of the homes in this neighborhood, including the president's. And if anyone wants to verify compliance, I'll be happy to provide copies of the original city approvals." The room broke into quiet applause. Karen stood up, papers trembling in her hands. "This meeting is adjourned." She practically bolted out. The following week, an email went out: "All recent fines related to porch violations are rescinded pending further review." Translation: Karen was cornered. Within a month, 2 board members resigned. A recall vote was initiated. And when the ballots came in, Karen was removed as HOA president. I didn't cheer or gloat, honestly, I just felt relieved. The new board, led by my neighbor Tom, actually asked me to help revise the outdated regulations to match real-world codes. The first thing I did? I wrote a clause protecting original builder-approved structures from HOA retroactive enforcement. And yes, I made sure Karen got a copy of the updated rules. A few weeks later, Karen quietly sold her house. Rumor had it she'd moved to another subdivision, one without an HOA. Sometimes I'd sit on my non-compliant porch in the evening with Rachel, watching the sunset, sipping coffee, and laughing about the whole ordeal. "Think she'll ever try to run another HOA?" Rachel asked. I smiled. "Not if she checks the building permits first." If there's one thing I learned from all this, it's that power without knowledge is a recipe for disaster. People like Karen use authority as a weapon, until they meet someone who knows how things really work. And when you build something right the first time, no amount of petty rules can tear it down.